multiple groups.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, so we're live again. So let's just wait for a couple of seconds and we'll get started.
Awesome.
Awesome. Do you have any like a Facebook group you want to share this to or no?
I probably will after. I don't off the top of my head. I have a couple, but I'll probably do it when you've got it.
All right, and we'll get more viewers later on. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay.
So we'll welcome everybody to today's webcast, how to position your online business for rapid success. 5 secrets from the digital agency owner. So I have Ailsa here today. She is one of the co-founders from Border7 Studio, and they have been working with one of the many top leading companies to help them on the conversion of their website. So basically, they help e-commerce entrepreneurs to increase conversion and sales on their web store. So do you have anything to add to that, or is that clear?
No, I think that's awesome, Ellen. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Cool. So if you're selling online, if you have a web store, this is something that you must watch. This will definitely help on the conversion and sales on your Shopify or BigCommerce stores, or even a WordPress store.
Yeah, so, and Volusion too, totally.
Yeah, so let's get started. And Ailsa's going to talk about the top 5 secrets from a digital agency owner that nobody ever told you before. Awesome.
Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, so we've been doing this now for a little over 12 years. And the really big thing that we've been noticing and telling our clients is if you can get your own domain and have your own platform that's outside of just being on Amazon or eBay, that's going to give you a lot more control over your business and how you want to sell. So our top 5 secrets that we want to talk about is, the first one we want to talk about is to know your business. And that seems kind of like, yeah, no duh, I should know my business. But, a lot of people will jump into it and they don't really know who specifically are they selling to. It's not just, I want to make money, and that'd be awesome, and that's obviously a goal, but who are you selling to? What are their pain points? What do they wake up and think, oh man, if I could only solve this? And how can you address that on your website and in your messaging? Also to really consider what makes you different. So don't look at your competitors as far as what can you copy, but more so what do they do, or what do you really hate about your industry that you can differentiate to make yourself stand out more. So, for example, let's say Time Warner. I want to tell you how awesome they are and that they have great customer service. I can tell you firsthand, I've been on their chat and I've been on, WholeFit. So it's more about your brand is not, who your logo, what your logo or your color schemes or anything like that. It's your brand is what people say about you when you're not there. So, the first one then is to know your business, right? So then we want to get into your identity. So the next one is know who are you? What if your company was a person, who would they be? If you even think of an actor you really like, what's their personality and the way that they talk to you that you would kind of want to emulate and have that kind of voice with your business. So if you can kind of work on outlining those things and also coming up with your colors and the logo and different things like that. I mean, the number of people where we start talking to them and I say, why'd you pick teal and red as your company colors? And they say, oh, my wife likes those colors. That might not be the best reason to pick them. There's a reason why McDonald's uses red and yellow. There's thought behind that. So if you can really be working to build on those things so that it's not just kind of arbitrarily picked, that's a huge thing to help you. So then as we get into number 3, which is to know your platform. And there's a lot of platforms out there. There's, open source platforms, there's SaaS solutions, open source meaning that they'll give you access and major modifications. Or hosted is more like you'll get the support and care, but you can't really make it as custom. So the biggest thing that I would say for people is don't just jump into a platform. Don't, they have awesome themes and you might, see some case studies and you think, oh man, Shopify or BigCommerce, whatever, looks awesome. But I would take the time to talk to some experts experts out there, not even just us, that you can talk to and ask them the specific questions of features that you got to have. So make a list of your must-haves and maybe nice-to-haves, and you don't have to roll them all out within one phase. You can make many phases. So first come up with your list of must-haves that you gotta be incorporating. Maybe you have a customizable product. And come up with those, and then talk to a web expert and have them help you figure out, almost like dating, speed dating, which platform really works best for me. Because if you jump into it and you spend a lot of time, it's always a shame to me when people come to us and they've already picked a platform. We couldn't really, we weren't talking to them before. And then they realize, oh, geez, I've got 10,000 products and I really should be on, a different platform. So the next one is definitely to make sure that you know your platform, you scope it out, what features, and come up with a roadmap too of like maybe down the line, like we talked about, different phases, what other features or cool things that you'd want to have. So make sure that you have those all outlined. So the next secret that we're going to talk about is as you're working to build your online business, you really want to make sure that you know your partners and affiliates and different people that you're working with, and make sure that they know and are communicating your message about your company as effectively as possible. So if you say, hey, I sell golf clubs, and people don't really know what makes you different, or they don't know why you started the company, why do you get out of bed in the morning? Is it just because you picked that randomly, or is it because you used to play golf with your dad on Saturday and it means more than anything to you? That's a story that's really going to connect with people and is going to be memorable. So as you're working to shape your messaging, if you can rely on partners that, you build, we've got partners that we've been with since we founded the company, and they know what we're about and they know what's important to us. So that really helps you grow, is if you know that other people that you are connected with are communicating that same message, and that makes it more powerful and more cohesive. So we talked about knowing your partners, and then the last secret that we're going to discuss is to know your launch. So you'd be surprised at the amount of people who may think, oh, I'm going to launch my awesome new website, and they don't put the time in to share it on social media and even tell their friends, hey, I'm going to be launching my website on this date. They just seem to think that people are going to just know to show up. And so you really want to put in that groundwork of letting people know, and to be, getting that message out there so that they can actually find your site. Have you done all your due diligence to make sure all your links work and your images are quality? Does it look like, are they grainy and kind of look like it was just slapped together? I mean, that's then what you're saying about your company if you don't take the time to really put that care into it. So those are the main 5 secrets. We can dive into them more. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer any. But those are the big things. And they may seem broad and like, no duh, but if you can be thinking about those as you build your site, I guarantee that you're going to save yourself a ton of time and money, because you're not going to be all of a sudden realizing, oh, shoot, I didn't plan for this. So the big thing is also making sure that you're planning.
Okay, that was really awesome. So I have a question. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking in the background because there is some construction work. So let's say if you are an e-commerce entrepreneur who's just starting out, what's the best advice? Like, what kind of elements they should pay attention to on their website?
So I would say some of the biggest things are your call to actions. What are you trying to get the customer who actually gets to your website? You finally got them there. Yay, awesome, right? Now, what do you want them to do? Is there something that you can direct them towards that would maybe educate them more about your product, or something that, maybe there's some trust elements you can feature, like, you have a warranty or something that is going to make them really start to trust you and understand more about you. So I would say the call to actions are huge. You want to have on your slide, on your slideshow, tell them, don't just have an awesome picture of your product. Tell them about it. What's so cool about it? What should they do? That's a huge thing I would recommend. Call to actions.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that I didn't know before, because a lot of people just put a really nice web pages put together. And then when I say, okay, what do I do next? What's the next step? Yeah, there's like no like instruction. Okay, this is nice, and what next? So you have to put like a clear big bottom. That's why there's a lot of website that's like just landing pages. The only one action that
they don't get distracted. Yeah.
Right.
No, totally. Yeah. And I've talked to clients before where they'll set up, and to them it makes sense. And they'll walk me through it and they'll explain, oh, I set it up this way because I want them to go through and I want them to do these things. And I say, okay, well, now that you explained it, it makes sense. But are you going to be able to explain it to every person who comes to your store? And then they're kind of thinking, they're like, no. So if you can also simplify it, the more you can do it and make it almost so if a kid were to go on the site, could they find things? Somebody that I don't know, may not be as experienced with the internet. If you're looking for, they'll be able to find things easier. Yeah.
Right. So basically, a lot of people tell me that the call to action bottom, the color, it matters. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, it totally matters. And that's something that we like to A and B test. So we come up with, when we design, we rebrand somebody's site, we come up with stylescapes, and that kind of helps come up with their color palette. But there may be, for example, blue is a really for call to actions and seeing an increase in conversions. Red is more of a stock color. So those kind of things do matter. So even if red's your favorite color, play around with different ones. Run a test to see for 30 days, are you getting more clicks on your blue button? What's really getting people to act? Totally makes a difference. And really track, if you make a change in your site, make a note of it and write the date so that you can then go back and see if you see a big spike in your metrics. Well, hey, now you're onto something, and if it didn't work, then you can revert back and you know what you did. Don't just make changes on the fly and kind of hope that something will happen, because you won't know what did it,
Right. And what are the other elements that people should pay attention to besides the call to action? Because I know there's tons of other elements, such as maybe the artistic sense of everything, the congruency of the website and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the most important thing that we tell our clients is to make your brand as cohesive and consistent across all platforms. So that means if you're on BigCommerce and your site looks a certain way, your Facebook, your Amazon store, it should all be cohesive and look the same. Because if you start to send them somewhere and it looks different, that starts to build some distrust, because they're kind of thinking, well, is this the same store? I'm not really sure. It also makes it seem like you don't really have your act together, because you're kind of all over the place, So I would say making sure that you have a really cohesive presence. Also, invest in good photography. Or get stock photos. I'd much rather you get stock photos than send me over some pictures you took with your iPhone. Well, the new iPhone's a lot better, but back when they had the old iPhones and it would be all grainy and they'd be like, can you believe it? I took it with my phone. It's like, yes, we all know you took it with your phone. And, so invest in that, because that also says a lot about who you are as a company and that you care about quality. So those are the kind of things that I would say people kind of forget. Yeah.
Right. And I've been through a lot of training classes with other coaching stuff. A lot of coaches tell me that the web design doesn't matter. That's what I said. But after I put into test this out, the web design does matter, because if your website looks really crappy, nobody's gonna bother to click on anything, even though you got a call to action, even though your other stuff is there. You have to have a trustworthy looking, at least something that's clean and trustable website.
Yeah, because I'm not going to want to take out my credit card and give you my money if I think you're going to close up shop tomorrow, right? So if you can make it so that it looks like, hey, no, I invested money in my business and I care about my business. It's a lot like having a quality, if you had a brick and mortar store and if you had bits of tarp hanging down and a light and your sign was out and was blinking, people would be like, they must be out of business. So if your website's kind of like that and you have broken links, or it looks really, really generic and doesn't really say what's different about you, then you're missing out on such a huge opportunity to be building that relationship with people. And also another thing that we find a lot is don't just talk about how awesome you are on the website. I mean, that's something that a lot of people kind of get stuck into, you know, they just say like, I'm the best and come and buy from me, but everybody's saying that. So if you can be talking specifically to your customers' pain points and use more you terms of this is what my product is going to help you, and this is why, and this is going to help address your pain. And I'm going to tell you that not only is it going to address your for you, if you have any issues with shipping or anything, well, that's now going to be a big differentiator than maybe even Amazon, where if they just say, oh, you didn't get your package, well, I'm sorry. You know, now you're saying, no, this is my business. I care. Buy from me, and here's why it matters. So don't talk too much about how awesome you are, but it is important to tell your story and why you did things as well.
That's really a good tip, because that's the most common mistake I observe e-commerce entrepreneurs make. Talk about, okay, how good my product is, and they just forget about the benefits to the potential customer, because that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. You have to talk about the pain point and why should they care about your product to your customers, not like,
and don't make them work too hard either. You know, it's like if they have to take 5 clicks to get to your product because the way your site's laid out, I can tell you right now, they're going to get tired after probably the 3rd click. You know, people have really short attention spans now. So you want to try and connect with them and get them onto your product page as quickly as possible and not make them hunt for it. They don't need another job, you know? You want to make it easy.
Awesome. That's really, really good tips. So we are going to open to questions now. And if you have any questions to Ailsa, any kind of question regarding to your web store or website, please make sure you type in your comments below this post so Ailsa can answer them. And while we're waiting for questions, do you have any other things you want to add regarding to the web store? Like we talk about call to action. We talk about like the artistic sense of the website. And what about, does the logo really matter?
A logo? Yeah, totally. A logo definitely matters. A logo can really set the stage about who you are and tell people what your business is about. So if you have a logo that is just kind of arbitrary and doesn't really make sense, even if it's not specific to your industry, it can be really confusing to people about what it is you're even selling. You want to make it, again, as easy as possible, where you see their logo, you see their tagline, and you go, oh, okay, they sell, clothes or whatever it is. Don't make it so it's like so ambiguous that they're kind of like, I think it's clothes, I'm not even sure, It needs to really represent who you are. And so I think if you can take the time to invest in a nice looking logo, again, it's the quality too. So if you just throw it together, I mean, nowadays everybody says, oh, my nephew can do web design. Maybe so, but if it looks cobbled together and doesn't really make sense, then people will know.
We have a question from Mohammed. He said, please talk about how we can build high conversion website, especially for restaurants industry.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we actually have helped a number of restaurants in the local LA area. And a big thing, in addition to, we completely rebranded the website. So coming up with the different marketing flow charts. So how do you plan from start to finish for people to even get to your website? So you have an awesome website. How do you plan for them to get there? Is it through email? Is it through social media? And are you tracking those things? So if you share something on social media and say, hey, come check out our restaurant, we've got great, chicken and waffles. Are you putting a little code that maybe they can then use, and that'll help you track it? Because restaurants are different than e-commerce in that it's not necessarily tied to a direct, you're not going to see the transaction online unless they're ordering food online, if that makes sense. So I would make sure that you have the funnels in place to be tracking that. So as they come through, you know where they came from and your different efforts. I also highly recommend, I like to encourage my clients to get, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be a tote bag or a hat, but come up with your own branding. So like for a restaurant, that's a great thing to use for giveaways. If you're on social media and you're trying to increase your followers, the big thing for us with restaurants is trying to build that community. And you're also trying to really, the main one that we work with is a really family-oriented business. So we try to connect with that and build on that. And so we feature a lot about the restaurant, what they do, why the quality matters. And then, we've seen too, probably a huge thing is to, again, get away from, Grubhub and Uber Eats are great. But if they decide to stop featuring your restaurant, then you're out of luck. So if you can add either through WooCommerce and WordPress, add a plugin so that people can purchase directly from your restaurant and they can either take out or do delivery. That's been a huge thing. I mean, we've saved our restaurant, thousands of dollars a year in transaction fees just on that. So
that's really good tip, because I
know that was a lot, but yeah.
I always thought about how come a lot of restaurants don't have a website, and how come they don't put their food on their website? They're missing out big opportunities.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. They'll say that to me of like, oh, my website doesn't really matter, and we'll redo it and we'll put all these things in place. And I said, will you go back? No. I wouldn't go back to the old one. So it's like, it does matter, and you can see an increase in that.
Awesome. That was really good tip. And we have a next question. Does paid internet ads drive potential clients?
Yeah, they can. It depends on, I would say, your industry. How are you structuring things? If you're in a really competitive industry, for example, plumbers and HVAC, so like air conditioning, theirs is super competitive and their ads can be really expensive. So as long as you're tracking it and you're putting things like, let's say, for example, AdWords, if you're using their system, you can set it up so that you have more control and you're not just letting your budget get spent right away. And don't listen when Google, think about with Google, Facebook, any of these, they want you to spend money. They want you to spend money on their ads. So you have to be really careful and tracking it and seeing which ads are working. Also, if you're, let's say, a retail or retail store, limit your hours. Don't show your ad when you're asleep. So if you get a phone call, then you're not going to answer it. You're not going to be available. Set it during your hours and make it so that it's limited by location too. So there's tons you can do with ads. I always think that that's a lot of fun to play around with and figure out which ones are more effective. But yeah, ads totally work. It's just don't set it and forget it. Keep an eye on it.
That was a very nice answer. And Mohammed just come with a fantastic answer. Exactly what I was looking for. Thank you, Miss.
Oh, awesome.
Any other questions?
Great.
I hope, yeah. It was really great, yeah.
Yeah, once I get talking, sometimes I just keep going.
Okay, so I guess I don't have any other questions for now. And Wind Down Wednesday said was really great answer.
I love that name. That's great.
That's already branding.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'd like to wind down every day. Yeah. That's awesome.
So I think you told me earlier that you have a free gift for my viewer, right?
Yeah, we do. So I sent you a link, and this is specifically for Ellen's viewers, and it is a free download for our 5 easy steps to take your digital campaign to new heights. And this is a guide where I know a lot of the stuff I talked about was more broad. So this is going to be super specific in helping you figure out how you can optimize your store. And this is for, lots of different platforms. It's not limited.
Okay, so this is a free guide if people want to hop on.
Totally free.
It's their website.
Yeah, check it out, and hopefully it's helpful. But I like to get really specific with things and tangible ways to make it happen. So check that out.
So I already put the link on here, but again, the website is border7.com/Ellen. Simple enough.
Yep.
So if people want to work with you, like maybe get more information from you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so I would check out you can write to us through the contact form. We also have You can schedule a consultation. We'll talk to you about your business if you have questions. We always enjoy just helping out small businesses and people looking to get going. So yeah, I would go through there. And if you just have any specific questions, I always love answering those as well. So you could just even shoot them over to me and I'll give you the best answer I can. So happy to do that as well.
If you guys are interested in shooting any questions, just go to border7.com and find their contact page, right?
Yep, perfect.
Awesome. Okay, I guess that's it for today. There's no more question. And thank you, Ailsa, for coming out today to be on this show. It was really, really nice information that you just talk about. I learned a lot as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ellen. Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.